Welcome to the Dowden Podcast. I'm your host, the official CRG, and today I want to focus on electric vehicles and really talk about the pros and cons of the vehicles themselves, plus some roadblocks electric vehicles could be facing in the near future. But before we get started, make sure to leave a like and subscribe down below. That way you don't miss any weekly episodes and posts. You can find video of this episode strictly on YouTube, but the audio everywhere else. Now, electric vehicles or EVs are taking over the markets in China, Europe, and the United States due to great customer demand and them trying to branch away from non renewable resources in order to help overall climate change. And now, yes, that does sound great, but if it was that easy, then it would have already been done. Because in order to eliminate overall climate change, we have to eliminate all of our fossil fuels. And big countries like Russia, Saudi Arabia, and even a bunch more in the Middle East use fossil fuels as a major way for their overall income. So, the idea of everybody in the world just driving electric cars and not having to use gas at all realistically isn't going to work because countries like Russia, Saudi Arabia, and the Middle East either use fossil fuels to help support infrastructure and their economies, or they use it for big income to help pay for military, goods, government, or whatever else the country needs. So, for example, if Russia stops producing gas, that not only affects Russia alone, but also other countries around it, because Russia is a big market and distributor for countries without fossil fuels. Now, when it comes to some countries that do have electric vehicles, it does have its positives, saving some consumers hundreds of dollars when it comes to gas and fuel if you are able to afford a charger system in your own home. And when it comes to electric vehicles, they also have low physical maintenance costs because electric vehicles don't have as many running parts as a regular gasoline car. Now, some would say that electric vehicles are helpful to the environment because they don't put out emissions and nasty fuels. But the problem is when you make these vehicles, you have to mine raw material which then puts out natural greenhouse gases. Plus, with that raw material, it's not like you can go and use it right away. So then you have to go and refine it, put it through this process, which then produces even more greenhouse gases. So by the time you're done making this car, you basically put as much damage and things into the air as you would with just a regular gasoline vehicle. Also, a lot of these EV batteries use a very expensive and rare metal called lithium, which makes these cars very, very pricey compared to a regular gasoline based vehicle. Lastly, when it comes to EVs and some of their negatives, one of the biggest things are just the lack of charging ports through countries and states. And that is simply because a lot of these countries and states aren't fully behind going full electric. So when you drive across states, or if you're in a new country and you're in an open road and you break down, you can't go hopefully find a gas station and walk and then get a gas tank and bring it back to your car. You cannot do that. You have to literally take your car to a charging station, sit there for a couple hours, have it charge, and then you can go. So, if you're not in an area around charging stations or even near your house where you have one at home, there is not much you can do about getting your car up and running again. But with that said, today's quote is by Alexandra Paul. She once said, "Electric cars aren't pollution free. They have to get their energy from somewhere." I appreciate you tuning in. You can follow us on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. And this is the Dowden Podcasts.